AEW All Out gave us the most violent pay-per-view we've seen in a long time.
And the SmackDown Season Premiere could be full of surprises.
It's time to roll around the ring. AEW All Out in Chicago, just a couple weeks after All In. Shout out to AEW for the hospitality, by the way.
Chi-Town, yes sir.
Yeah, Chicago. Got lucky with beautiful weather.
You made it back. You made it back in one piece.
Made it back in one piece. Went down to cover the show. Was amazing in every sense of a pay-per-view. And I'm not just saying that in the sense of being there in person. Like,
okay.
Watching this, and we'll go through the main matches, but man,
keep your words nice. Tony Khan watching this show.
I know the violent pay-per-view that we saw.
Oh man.
And we're not even just talking about the main event, right? We're talking about, and again, we'll get into everything, but the Mox and the turn and the way he turned on Danielson, right? The street fight with Willow and Kris.
Yeah.
And outside of that, Garcia and MJF, brutal match.
Real cinder blocks.
Real cinder blocks.
It's a real cinder block. Cry me a river.
Yeah. I mean, at that point. So let's get into it because, I mean, top to bottom, this pay-per-view delivered. I'm going to go out there and say All Out way better than All In.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not even close.
Yeah, no, honestly, yes. To
me, it's not
I think
even
that's
close.
kind of like the sentiment going around.
Yeah.
It just delivered.
It did. Most matches did. Even the matches that didn't mean as much or nothing crazy happened. It was okay.
It was a good flow to the show. I mean, even in between, like, there was some stuff that was kind of
Right.
But for the most part, the flow kept going. Had a good flow to it.
Yeah.
And everything that delivered was like it was memorable.
Let's start with the main event. Adam Page, Swerve Strickland, cage match.
Oh boy.
Look, the way they hyped this match up, the final Dynamite before All Out, you have Adam Page burning Swerve's childhood home to the ground.
Yeah.
Right? Outside of everything else they've done to each other, all the way from Swerve way back when, breaking into Page's home.
Which apparently Swerve was able to go back and save some splinters of the burned down house.
Yeah. Shout out to that.
I mean,
which we saw that as well. All the way to Hangman threatening to steal Prince Nana's weed. Like, look, this shit got personal.
That's too far.
It got personal. And when AEW promotes it as unsanctioned, we want nothing to do with what happens in this match. When it's the main event of this show, and for me, and we'll get into everything else that happened on the show, watching how brutal the other matches were, right, and the other segments were leading up to this match, I was genuinely scared of what I was about to watch in this cage match.
There's precedent there with these two. That's why.
Yes.
And what we saw was like it pretty much like delivered on what you were worried about and what I think a lot of people anticipated. It was going into it. It was okay. How are they going to top what they've done before? Right. And they did. Whether you thought that was a smart way to go or not, I mean, I don't know I really don't want to know what other level we can go at this point.
Right. And I know I've said in the past, I wish the world title was involved if Swerve would have kept it at All In. I don't necessarily, I haven't gone away from that, but it didn't ruin this match.
No, not at all.
I will say the way they built this whole story, they were showing them up, on pay-per-view. We're in the arena, up on the screen. I have never wanted to see and been more like amped up or nervous or excited, all of those things, to see two people get their hands on each other. Right? Like the way they were building it up throughout the show and showing Adam Page entering with a bunch of security, Swerve entering with a bunch of security. It felt like some shit is about to go down.
And this is what I like about their feud in general, their rivalry, and this match not needing the world title. It was a thing of you almost had Swerve be the champion, go into the title picture. You had Hangman doing his thing on the side, but it was like there's always this unfinished business. You can't get away from this. There is no running from this to do something else until this is settled. And I think what we saw was, I don't know where you go from here.
I mean, what you saw was, I thought someone was going to get set on fire. I mean, I thought that was next.
Like, legitimately, though.
And that's the thing, right? Like, we've seen a lot of, brutal matches in wrestling history, hardcore matches, obviously ECW way back when. We've seen a lot of rivalries done so well where people hate, like, we know CM Punk and Drew McIntyre hate each other.
Yeah.
But I don't remember a match where you went in going, like, these guys are going to actually kill each other.
Yeah.
And it was as legitimate as a match could be of this type of standing, right? You mentioned it. Real cinder blocks.
Yeah.
And they showed that it was real. And here's the thing. In the past, when they bring out real shit like that, it doesn't actually get used, right? They hint at it, they threaten it, and then somehow it gets escaped and so on. No, they fucking used it.
Yeah. They were pulling no punches with this one.
Swerve dropped right on that thing, right? On top of the regular cage, on top of other, tables being used, and then you have the needle get brought out. And
the grill ripped out.
And
I'm like, okay, that's okay.
The
that's
chair shot to end it, which was a straight chair shot, no hands up.
No hands.
He took that shit. Before we get to the result, how do you feel about how far they went here, how brutal this match was, and how legitimate it was?
So it worked for what you need it to be with their feud, for these two in particular. It's like if you go back and you watch anything with like Mick Foley and Vader, or Mick Foley and Terry Funk back in the day. It's like you expect a degree of violence, and if you don't get that, it wasn't real. It didn't. That match didn't mean something. But again, this is something you don't want to see too often.
No.
And and I don't want to be hypocritical because you brought up ECW.
Yes.
And I grew up in the time when ECW was like fresh, the thing, and it was the renegade promotion that, oh my God, they're really hitting each other, blah blah blah.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. Yes. But you also understand, as you watch wrestling going on, you can't have a very long career doing that all the time. So you enjoy it in the moment, but it's like we said before with Swerve and Hangman. I don't need to see that again. And we got it again.
Right.
So
no, it delivered exactly the way this feud should deliver. Right. This is the fourth time we've seen these guys go at it. Yep. The amount of hype built around this match. I don't remember the last time a match actually delivered to this level in terms of what hype was put around it in wrestling, because normally in wrestling you don't see people go this far.
No.
So it's believable
because you always get the hardcore match or a Hell in a Cell match, which you'll get some blood. Yeah. Somebody gets hit with a chair or goes to a table. That's about where you call it. Right. Oh, it was a devastating match. It was brutal. This was brutality in motion.
Yeah, and it was believable. It is believable that. And I know AEW, and this is why I get pissed off when AEW does so much crazy shit on the regular TV show so often. This is when you should save it. Yes. Right? So, and it was believable that these two would do these things to each other. It is believable how much hate they have for each other. All of that. And it served its purpose and more. I have never been in an arena where I myself, but everyone reacted so much to every
I want to ask you about
move.
that, and not just this match, but other stuff we'd see later or prior to. Watching it on a TV screen is one thing. You get the up close, you get to really be like, oh my God, and see it. There's something so much more visceral. It's almost like watching someone legitimately getting beat up in front of you, a fight taking place when you're there in the audience, depending on where you're sitting, of course. But when you're there live, so that's what I was going to ask you, was it more impactful to you, if you've gone back and watched it now in highlights, was it more impactful to you being there live and seeing it in person?
Yeah, yes, because you have the crowd reacting. And when I tell you the crowd reacted to everything exactly the way they wanted them to, it was people were scared. And I'm not even just like they were scared.
It's not hyperbole. It's legit worried.
What the fuck are these two doing to each other? People were nervous. People were excited. The reactions, right? And sitting with the wrestling media, we instantly shout out to the wrestling media. All became best friends because that moment where you're just grabbing the person next to you, like, holy, oh my God, like you're just doing that.
I mean, the announce team, TV wise, we're losing it. Jim Ross was ready to call the police on everybody. Yeah, it wasn't just. I mean, you had from the world title match. He was having flashbacks to Flair and Terry Funk with but it was just, and that made it for TV. Yes. Like, oh my God, Jim Ross, who's seen everything in wrestling there is to see, is legitimately scared and concerned here.
And the crowd made it for the live, the live crowd, the live people watching it in person because they reacted exactly the way AEW wanted to. I genuinely felt this. I tweeted this out, and it's so true. I felt like an accomplice.
You're just watching it, not like
I did. I'm like, what am I watching here? Is this legal? Is this real?
Should I stop this?
What the fuck is happening right now? Are we actually doing this?
Yeah.
And you haven't seen this in wrestling in a very long time, if ever, especially on a level like this, on a big company like AEW.
That's what makes it exciting.
And that's what makes it exciting.
Yeah, but you're like, I don't want to see this regularly.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. So, yeah, you don't want to see it regularly. And for the people out there that are worried about, in terms of wrestler safety, going too far, whatever it may be, I can't argue you.
Yeah.
Right? I sit dead center on this because I 100% understand that these two hate each other and it served its purpose. But I'm not going to argue one person that says it's stupid, because it is, right? That is a real cinder block. You are dropping someone back first on a real cinder block. Yep. That can do legitimate damage and probably did. And then the other part of it, and I know people ha funny in terms of AEW and botches, it happens everywhere in wrestling. One thing goes left.
Yep.
And now we're not talking about someone's career. We're not talking about someone's injury. We're talking about someone's life.
Yeah, a prime example of that, just to go back again to ECW, the Sabu and Terry Funk barbed wire match. Yeah. Legit barbed wire.
Yep.
The match had to legitimately be stopped because they got so entangled in it that any wrong movement was going to start cutting arteries.
Yes. So, again, it served its. It was amazing to watch. It was crazy to watch. They got the reaction they wanted. 100% did, and it made sense for this story. It is stupid. There's no argument to that. You are dropping someone on a real cinder block.
Stupid,
right?
Can be entertaining.
It is.
Stupid can be entertaining. But just because you can doesn't always mean you should.
It works that way. 100% does. So I can't. And for anyone that says you're soft for thinking that way, no, we're not. Right? Because I want to see Swerve for a while. I want to see
a long career out of both these guys. I'd rather
right.
they don't, have to end it in a year or two because they keep putting on matches like this.
Actually try to kill each other. And here's the thing. I would say once is too much. I understand. I agree with you. I don't want to see it too much. I would say once is too much.
And this is like their second outing doing something brutal like this.
Yes. They could have had a typical, and we'll get to this one, Statlander and Willow had a great street fight, right? Weapons were involved and so on. They could have had that styled match, and obviously with their intensity and everything and some cool spots, and I would have been okay with it. Yeah. They didn't need to go this far. It was amazing and crazy and insane that they did. It wasn't necessary. It was stupid. But yeah, as a fan, it was fucking awesome.
We'll jump to that match because you're right. It was a street fight, and it had all the things that you would incorporate in a street fight,
sure.
Down to the submission with the chain. I mean, it was a really good match considering what they had to follow as
right.
well.
Right.
And that I want to ask you too. The difference in watching that live versus watching Swerve and Hangman, what was the mood on that?
So the problem with that one is for the best spot of the match, which I'm going to assume was them going off the stage.
Right.
The best looking part of the match, whatever you want to call it. It sounded cool.
Everything happened out of view? Or
because the crowd, and I don't know if it got over on pay-per-view, the screen went out. The big screen went out the second they went out of the ring.
No? Wow.
Yep.
So you're sitting there trying to piece it together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're getting glimpses here and there, and then we hear a big crash.
Yeah.
And, and down by the media, we have the camera right there. So, like, a lot of us in the media were watching the cameraman's feed that he has to see what the hell was happening. And the funniest part was the second they got back in the ring, screen came back on. Like, well, that's opposite.
I mean, you still got...
But they killed it. They absolutely killed it. That match was awesome from start to finish, and you mentioned it, and I know we're jumping all over the place. Right. It followed a crazy match as well.
Yeah, which we'll get to.
Which we'll get to as well. Jumping back to the main event real quick, how'd you feel about Hangman getting the win here?
I would have been fine either way, but I kind of like them. See, here's where I'm concerned. Because you burn the guy's house down, right?
Yep.
You go through this brutal-ass match.
Yes.
And you get the win. As the heel in this situation, presumably. So, I mean, it's just like...
They're both heels.
Honestly, that's why I said presumably. You can't... Swerve isn't being... He's not playing like the white meat baby face here.
Right.
So, my thing is, where do you go from here? Do we just leave it? Because if he got the win... You know what I mean? Yeah, because what else can you do?
I've never seen the definition of a blow-off match more than what I saw there. Unless
they just both go away for a while.
They have to. And when they come back, you have to keep them apart.
Because I don't want to see them on Dynamite just like on to the next feud. Like, no, dude, not after that.
And you have to keep them apart, too. Like, after what I saw here, it should be a thing, which would actually be cool to watch on TV and play out, where people are nervous around these guys, and they want to make sure they stay away from each other.
Yeah.
Because again, what we saw in that match, I have never seen that in wrestling. I know there are smaller promotions, indie promotions that do.
No,
crazy
but we're talking
shit.
about on a mainstream level.
On mainstream pay-per-view, to the level that it was, we have never seen a brutal match legitimately done the way they did. People should be nervous to be around both of these guys, and they should be nervous if they come anywhere close to each other. And I think that's how you play this out as they come back. They should be feared by the rest of the roster, almost like they were like a Kane that came in.
Yeah, it's like if you're willing to do that with no title involved,
right?
What are you
Why
willing to
would
do when you're
anyone
motivated by
else
gold?
want to be in
Right.
the ring with you?
Right.
You know what I mean? So like that's where I would play it out when they come back. In terms of Hangman winning here, I said this going in, it's tough with Swerve losing back-to-back pay-per-views, losing his title, house burned down, and so on. You had to, though. Because we've done the same thing with Hangman over and over, right? You have the opponent, beat him down, you're a loser, your family, you're this and that. Obviously not to the level of Swerve, but we've seen this before. And then he loses, and he goes away, becomes alcoholic again, bounces back, gets better, someone brings that up again, and sends him back, and we do that
It's
same
the cycle in which Hangman lives.
And I love that that cycle finally saw him get a big win in this feud. I wasn't sure they were going to go that route, but you had to go that route here.
So now it's the follow through. How do you handle that? Is it?
They go away for a while.
Well, they have to. We mutually agree on that. It's just you can't have them show up on Dynamite Collision a week, 2 weeks later and be like, all right, cool, we're fine. Like, no. This has to be after that. I need you gone for like at least a month.
I will go even further, man. I don't know that you see either of these guys. I know they have a pay-per-view in December.
Right.
Probably there. Like, you need to just sell this. And honestly, what they did was legitimate. This isn't everyone wrestling fake bullshit. No, what they did, these guys beat the fuck out of each other.
No, they're feeling that shit. They're
feeling
legit.
that.
Yeah.
So, legitimately speaking, they probably need that time.
Yeah.
For story purposes, whenever they're healthy, I'd keep them out until almost the end of the year, if not the new year. I would.
Okay.
I would push this.
Really
you have
sell
enough
that,
talent.
yeah.
And we'll get to the world title picture because that's going to be able to entertain people for a minute.
Yeah.
But I would really sell this shit. And when they come back, I want the whole roster to be so fucking nervous whenever they're around these guys. Because these guys are insane. And they are.
Yeah.
Like, character-wise, yes. But the fact that they went this far for their career, kudos to them.
Yeah.
Because
after seeing that, it's kind of like everyone's like, hey, you good, man? You all right?
Right. No, and no one should be like, oh, I'm going to get in his face. All right.
No.
You're going to get set on fire. So
The only person that could do that and be like, oh, I'll hang with him, I'll get in a match, it'd be like a Darby Allin.
Mox and
or
Darby.
Mox, yeah. That's
Mox
it.
and Darby.
Yep.
Let's get to Moxley because Bryan Danielson retaining his world title against Jack Perry.
Yeah.
After the match, we'll get to what happened immediately after, but the big thing that we're talking about is Kill Switch coming out.
Yeah.
After Jack Perry was kind of attacking
And the theme
Danielson.
music immediately started playing in my head.
Yep. And people were singing it in the arena. Christian Cage comes out and forgive me, it was not promoted this way. I did not know what he had was Money in the Bank style. But I guess it is.
Yeah.
Because the Casino Gauntlet, they just like played it all. Yeah, he's got a world title shot. No one promoted it as anytime, anywhere.
He's doing his Damian Priest impersonation, I guess, now.
Right. So I didn't know we could go that route, but I guess it is. So Christian comes out, and then Moxley and the rest of the BCC, Pac included, kind of stare him away, and he's like, all right, never mind.
Yep.
You also had a stare down between Killswitch and Jack Perry.
Yep.
And Killswitch walked away.
We know there's a history there. Yep.
Mox apparently saving Danielson from a cash-in and then turning on Danielson. Claudio uppercuts Danielson. Pac is holding Wheeler Yuta back, who is crying
Which shout out to Yuta for give that man an Oscar for dramatic performance.
Yes.
It literally like someone just like shot down his best friend or his dog.
Yep.
That man was beside himself.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
And the way and shout out to Pac because the way it was like hugging him, like it's okay, right? Like let this happen.
It was a mafia hit.
It's insane.
And I loved the way, just real quick, the details of it. I loved how when Claudio hit that uppercut, that strike on him, it wasn't Danielson laid out on the mat out cold. He was in shock.
Yes.
Like literally as you would be, as if like your own brother or your
Yes.
best friend just turned around and sucker punched you.
Yep.
You're looking, what the hell are you doing?
And
Like, what happened?
And there are people mad that Danielson didn't sell it. Like, no, he's selling
He
the shock.
sold the shock. Like, everything in his face said shock, heartbreak, what the hell is going on?
Right.
What did I do? You know, like, and that's the point of it.
And then Moxley, and let's keep in mind this happened right before that Swerve Hangman match.
Yeah, not to mention, we're not even done with the show at this
Yes,
point.
and it happened right. That's where I was like, "What the fuck are we gonna do with Swerve and Hangman?"
Yeah.
Because I just watched Moxley put a bag over Danielson's
Yes.
head and suffocate his ass while Wheeler is being held back. Marina Shafir is kicking down the ref. Claudio is looking away the medical staff.
Yeah.
This shit was so
Jim
well
Ross
done.
is losing his shit. And if anybody has ever watched Better Call Saul, you'll know what immediately came to mind with the bag over the head thing. That is the first thing I thought of. I'm like, good
Yeah.
Lord, this is
Look,
brutal.
And I know a lot of people, and rightfully so, and we have critiqued AEW and so on. This, and I'm not even just going to say for AEW, wrestling period, recent memory, was one of the best, well thought out segments
Yes.
in terms of storytelling I've seen. Because everyone did their part on 10. The shock of it was there. The brutal of it was there. Pac hugging Wheeler. Why didn't Wheeler know? So, and here's the thing. Going into All In, and right after, we're questioning why the hell is Pac winning the trios titles
Right.
with Claudio and Wheeler.
It's-
that makes no sense. Now you quickly
Now
made sense of
now
that.
it all comes together, right?
It's
yeah.
all a long-term plan. And you love, like, this is the type of shit in terms of thought out segments. This is why we love the Bloodline story so
Right.
much, because every little thing had a purpose. Every person had a role. And this is what we saw in that segment.
And I am guilty of attributing this to AEW, and this puts it to bed. They actually are capable of telling stories like this.
Yes.
They are capable of doing, like you brought, the Bloodline, which has been probably one of the greatest storylines in recent
Right.
history. They're capable of focusing on. They proved it with this. They can focus on details.
Yes.
They can focus on the drama and not beat you heavy with it,
Yes.
but let it lay out. Let the announcers, even if they're not laying out, just react properly to it. And it's like, see, this could be done, which immediately my mind went to, Shane McMahon booking this?
Honestly.
I gotta ask Justin when he gets back. Did you see Shane McMahon
Yeah,
at
I
all?
know.
Just a little bit back there.
No signs of Shane. No signs of
No,
Shane.
here comes the money plan.
But just
Okay.
like that, dude, when you see a segment like this, and we've seen Mox and Danielson go at it before on
Yeah.
AEW, just like that, you care about it that much more. Just like that, I can't wait to see the fallout from this.
You want to, okay, so what's the follow through? I want to see what happens
Right.
now. And that's the point.
And AEW for so long has just been, well, we're the best wrestle, which is cool slogan, fantastic. But when you just give us great wrestling matches, it's just like a hit it and quit it, right?
Yeah.
Like, that was great. Never
want
see
the
you
follow
again,
through, dude. I wanna just
wanna
build
follow
on
through.
this. Yeah.
Let's build on it. I want to be excited about what's happening on Dynamite and Collision tonight because of what happened last time.
Exactly.
And when you have a one-off match and just say, yeah, it's a great match, that's great. But like, I want to follow through because us as wrestling fans, we've seen great matches over and over again. And it's not to take away from the talent and how hard it is to put on a great match and so on. And we still appreciate when we see a great match. But like, what makes this different from all the other great matches that I saw, all the other great segments that I saw, all the other great heel turns that I've seen?
Yep.
And that is where this whole segment played it perfectly. And now I can't wait to see what the hell happens with these two.
It's the same. I haven't felt this hype about an ending to, well, this wasn't the ending to the show.
And it could have been.
It could really, yeah, it could have been, but it wasn't. But an ending to a match in a follow-up segment. The last time I was this hype and just like leaning forward watching the screen was like when Sammy's chair shot on Roman at the Rumble.
Yep. And that's what I said.
And it's just the drama. Everybody played their part.
Yep.
Everything was perfect, and that's exactly how I felt watching this.
It was so well done. A minor thing that we mentioned, and do you think there's anything to this? Jack Perry and Killswitch, a little stare down. How much do you want? Is there something here, or is that something you don't want them to touch, or what do you want here?
I'm not sure. I feel like it's more of just it was an obligation to the fans because obviously the Jungle Boy, the whole history is there. So it's like, hey, we're in the same ring.
Right.
So we're going to acknowledge this.
Yes.
Do I think they're going to build something from that? I don't know. It just depends. They're in two different kind of areas.
Yes.
So I don't know where you're just like, hey, by the way, let's bring this together and make a thing out of it.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, a lot of people obviously have been hinting at the kill switch turn on Christian, and it would make sense, obviously, the history's there with Jack Perry. I think I would have wanted a little more if Jack Perry wasn't aligned with the Elite.
Because then what do you do? Put Killswitch with the Elite?
And that's the thing. So I don't know that that would take away from how cool the turn is against Christian.
Yes.
But it would also be awkward because he's going from one heel to the next. And when he turns on Christian, it should be almost a babyface turn of like, finally, yes, and cheering Killswitch. But if he's turning on Christian to go with the Elite, we're probably going to cheer Christian, which I'm not sure that's the reaction they
because
want.
then it's like, do we end up with the Elite versus the Patriarchy, which then by default makes the Patriarchy the baby faces?
And they could go that route because Christian's kind of been helping out the Elite, and they've been helping him out. So if they tell that story, they would need to make Christian and the Patriarchy a little more babyface. But the whole point of that faction, that's a heel faction.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this dude is literally building a faction based off dead dads.
Yes.
We can't make that a babyface faction.
Which is wild.
It's crazy.
Is wild
so
to me
even
to
if
this
you
day,
put him against the Elite, and yes, we'll cheer Christian, and I know we laugh, and he's great.
Yeah.
But like, we can't make that faction a babyface faction.
No, it's a stretch, dude.
So the potential's there with Jack Perry and Killswitch. I don't know if I go that route though.
Now Killswitch on his own, having turned on Christian and then getting through that, and then Killswitch
down the line
being against the Elite or Jack Perry, that makes sense.
It could, or if Jack, maybe the Elite, and this is way down the line. I'm not saying right now. Maybe the Elite somewhere down the line turns on Jack Perry and Killswitch saves.
And you go.
And you can kind of maybe go that route, but I don't know. I don't know that Jack Perry can be a babyface anytime soon, though. Even if the Elite turns on him.
Down the line.
We're going down the line. MJF, Daniel Garcia. MJF got the win, opened the show. Another brutal match. Now, no weapons and stuff like that, but still insane match. This pay-per-view delivered start to finish.
Yeah, it did.
So MJF gets the win cheating. Daniel Garcia, though, attacking MJF after the match. The pile driver off the rope, which what obviously MJF did to Garcia. Was that whole post-match segment enough to make Garcia look strong here?
In my eyes, yes.
Okay.
I think what this solidified is something that you and I have talked about on camera and off camera. Of Daniel Garcia, is he ready to move up? Is it believable if he does?
Sure.
I think this match and that post-match attack, prove that yes, he is ready to be elevated. Now, does that mean throw the world title on him? No. But put him up a card now.
No, for sure. I think, yes, it did. Put this segment in the box. I know I use that phrase a lot in AEW, but I have to here because I sometimes have to forget everything they've done in the past to appreciate what they're doing right now. So in the box, yes, 100% it did, right? MJF did what MJF would do, right? But Garcia still came out on top, had his moment standing in the crowd, everything like that. My worry is, and my problem is to say like, oh, I'm ready to, I'm all in on this Garcia run. And that is, we need some wins. And I only mean that because of what they've done to him in the past, right? Every time he gets his push, he loses. And then he loses again. And he loses that big match over and over again. And the fact that, yes, he looked strong, came out on top, the fact that he didn't get this win, I need to see wins before I'm sold on this Garcia run. Not against MJF per se. MJF probably is going to be away for a minute. But
he should be, especially after that pile driver.
Right.
Yeah.
So, getting some wins toward a title, maybe Okada's title, I wouldn't mind that. You could go Jack Perry route. Well,
you stepping stones.
Yes.
So I agree with you. Rack up some wins before you just all right, throw him in a title match.
Right.
Give me a reason to believe he belongs there. All I'm saying with this match is it's solidified, at least for me, watching it. Okay, this guy is worth moving up now.
Yes.
We don't have to keep him in like you said, start, stop. The one thing I thought of when he beat it, I'm like, dude, if this guy starts dancing, he's gonna throw all this and I'm glad
great point.
Yeah. I'm like, if he starts dancing, everything that they just did is a moot point here.
Yes. Love that I didn't see that once. Yeah. That intensity. That's what AEW and this show I think if they play into it, they found their crevice in the wrestling industry to make them a little different. And that is, give me some not Swerve Hangman level extreme, but that ECW intensity.
There you go. That's a good way of putting it.
That's what I don't want what we saw with Swerve and Hangman over and over
Give me
again.
an element of danger.
Yes.
Like an underlying.
Yes, just the feuds are heated.
Yeah.
Everyone hates each other, and now it's like, they're going to beat the hell out of each other, and Garcia has that.
And the match started with that too, because
Yeah.
one thing I cannot stand, and what comes to mind now is like Jeff Hardy returning and dancing on the ramp before he goes to help his brother.
Yep.
It's if you're in a heated situation, if you have a rivalry that's built up, and we're getting to the pay-per-view with you or the PLE, whatever it is, whatever company you're in, the play or the pay-per-view, and your match, it's this heated match, and you hate each other, and you've done all these vile things. And the match is just you making your entrance, doing your taunts and your poses, and the other person comes out and you guys just stand. It's like, no, attack that motherfucker from halfway. You know, like jump him because we're here for this. Now it's sanctioned. Now I can get my hands on you.
It's telling that story, right?
Which is another thing that Garcia, to me, was like, check the box.
Spot on.
Check the box.
Spot on, because you have to tell a story in a match, and that's what that does. If you are that person, no matter what match you're in, what feud you're in, pay-per-view or not, in every match you're doing the same spots over and over again. Now it just feels like a circus, and we're playing the same thing over and over again. We need to tell stories here.
Yeah.
You just told me you hated this motherfucker.
So do something. Don't hit all your. You can hit your finishers, your whatever.
Yeah.
Do something that shows me like I'm stepping out of the norm here because I want to hurt this person.
And Garcia did that spot on. Loved it. I will say with MJF being gone, I gotta, even though it was unfortunate, I was very much looking forward to talking to some of the, wrestlers after this show, after what we saw. I respect how much AEW sold this pay-per-view. Yeah. They have never sold storyline purposes.
Did Tony come out and just be like, they're all in the hospital?
Storytelling purposes, they've never sold a show as much as they sold this. No wrestlers were available because of the crazy shit between people in the hospital, storyline or not.
Right.
People in shock after what happened to Danielson.
Local medical facility.
Yep, local medical facility. Shout out to the local medical facility. Renee Paquette was shaken up. Yeah. She wasn't available at the beginning because of what happened with her husband. And Danielson, they sold that. No wrestlers were available. Tony Khan was available for a limited time, and he was late. They sold everything that we just saw, and I love
that.
More.
I love that when collectively, on-air talent as a company, they're like, we have to, like you said, we have to sell this.
Everybody was...
Nobody's smiling and giggling and laughing and cracking jokes. RJ said it was
just like, that was a shit show. Yeah. And they had Matt Menard out there, like, just kind of like stalling because they didn't know who they're having. The whole
sentiment is shit went off the rails.
And that's what it was. Yep. And Tony apologized for not being available as much as he normally would. I have to get back. Like, you sold this shit. And being there in person, you felt like, what, was that legit? Like,
it creates what you just mentioned. Give me that uncomfortable mood.
Yes. I love that. Wrestling is more exciting when you have that because you want to see the follow-up.
Right. Make me feel like that wasn't supposed to happen.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to go into and be like, oh, that's a storyline. This is what they're doing. Yep. Make me feel like, was that a botch?
And everyone watching at home, exactly. Yeah. Everyone watching at home goes to watch the media scrum and go, where is everybody?
Yeah. Oh, so he must have really,
Oh, shit.
And then you start thinking like I did. Boom. That spot did look like he really got injured.
Spot on.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's the point.
Real quick, Will Ospreay and Pac, the best match I've ever seen in person in my life.
I was about to say, dude, you got to be there and witness that.
That crowd was fired up before they even touched. That stadium went off.
Is this the second match of the year contender with
This is the match of the year.
This is it.
This is 100% the match of the year. And I'm worried, and I want to get your how soon, because we saw Ospreay gets the win, rightfully so, especially with what we saw with Pac afterwards. That all makes sense. Right. Again, AEW, spot on storytelling. Afterwards, a segment with Ricochet. How soon do you want to see that match?
I don't want to see it very soon, and I think Ospreay kind of even said it as much. Like you said, rack it up first, man.
Yes.
Basically, look, I'm doing my thing here. I've been doing my thing. Yep. I'm solidified. You just got here.
Yes.
Earn your spot to get in my face.
That segment made so much sense for that reason. In terms of, Ospreay should say that, right? Like, dude, I've been here. I'm a champion.
He's the alpha in that situation, bro. I've been
Wembley
doing
Stadium,
this. Yeah.
Like, so on, right?
And by the way, just had the fucking match of the year.
Yep.
Hello.
So
yeah.
Yeah, I know you.
Go do something first before you come and talk to me like that.
So in storytelling, that makes 100% sense. In terms of outside of story, just on the outside looking in, you need to build to this, right?
Yes.
When Brock Lesnar came over to WWE way back when, everyone knew the match that they wanted was him and Kurt Angle, right? And then when they split him up and put Brock on SmackDown, and now him and Kurt are on the same show, we didn't see much. We saw them pass each other backstage, some looks, some confrontations between him and Paul Heyman, and they dragged that shit for months until WrestleMania.
Yep.
Drag this. We know we want to see this match. Tell the story, just like you did with Mox, just like you've done with Swerve and Page. Whether it's Shane McMahon or not, or Tony Khan is learning, see how hyped we were for Swerve
Shane
and Page.
was texting Tony, do this.
Yep. See how hyped we were for Swerve and Hangman. See how hyped we were for the Mox turn. Do that with everything.
Yeah.
Right? That same format with everything. That's why WWE, every story feels important. Even though you get annoyed sometimes because you're like, Triple H, pull the damn trigger. When he does, you care that much more.
And there's always going to be certain things, like we saw some matches, or a couple matches, whatever, that we're like, okay, this is supposed to be a big deal. I'm not really registering that with this one, but it's to move it along.
Right. Shout out to AEW again. Amazing, amazing show. Pay-per-view of the year nominee for sure. Ospreay and Pac, match of the year.
Does it. Yep.
Shout out for the hospitality. Shout out to Chicago. Great weather in Chicago, too, by the way. Got
it held up for you, huh?
Big time lucky there.
You know the humidity wasn't beating you down.
It was a
There you go.
It was a beautiful thing. Let's get some WWE stuff before we get out of here. SmackDown season premiere. They're moving over to the USA Network.
Yep.
So big deal. They always make it a big deal, especially on SmackDown. Remember the first SmackDown on Fox?
Yeah.
The
Rock
attempt,
showed up.
Yeah. The attempt was there to make it big. Obviously the Brock Kofi thing.
Oh man, yeah,
and Cain Velasquez. So like the thought to make this big was there, but you get the idea.
Right.
They're trying to make this one big as well. Cody Rhodes defending his title against Solo Sikoa in a cage. Are you expecting Roman Reigns here? And if so, are you expecting Roman Reigns alone?
In this situation, first off, yes, I am expecting Roman. Secondly, I think this is a hell of a match to put on for your premiere. And I do expect Roman alone.
Okay. Roman alone?
Roman alone in this situation. I don't think he's bringing people with him.
I don't know, man. You can't.
Well, who's going? Jimmy?
You have to do Jimmy. At least Jimmy. Jay and Sammy are still busy. He has to have some, because we've already gotten the Roman return, right? We know he's back. We know he's in the picture. We know he wants Solo.
Paul Heyman with a chair.
You have to at least
swing and a miss.
Because I think you just play off the shock, right? Like Roman and Jimmy still isn't enough to take out those four, but you still play off the shock that Solo isn't expecting Jimmy, right? Isn't expecting Paul Heyman. It would make Roman's character look dumb in this story if he came back alone again. He already got beaten down once, 4-on-1. And in terms of wrestling, we've seen this time and time again. The character, once they get beaten down 4-on-1, that's when they go get help. And if Roman comes back, especially knowing the help he already has, and we don't need to do the surprise of Jay or Sammy, him and Jimmy, up until Roman lost, they've always been on good terms.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
They were on the same side before when Roman lost at Mania.
Yeah.
And then Roman went away and Solo attacked Jimmy. So nothing has happened where it's like, oh, I didn't know they were.
Like, how did they get cool again?
Right, they've been cool. So I think you just play it off. I don't know how it happens within the match. Cody, of course, isn't losing.
No, I'd be surprised if he does. The only way I could see it happening, not Cody losing, is Roman does show up alone initially.
Sure.
Which I would probably be getting ready to text and be like, see, I told you.
Oh, fuck.
But then I'd wait. I'd hold that text just to see what happens.
Yeah, finish the show.
Because it could also be possible that Roman uses himself as a decoy.
Yes. And I think
like you said, knowing he has to go face, basically, I got to take the hits so that Jimmy can get in the cage.
Yeah.
And attack Solo.
I could see Jimmy doing almost. I could go
Jimmy
that
from
route.
under the ring like Undertaker.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: you play it off as Cody retains somehow, Bloodline's attacking Cody after the match, and I think you just hear Paul Heyman's "Ladies and gentlemen" throughout the crowd, and they're staring at this.
Yeah,
the
you don't
top
see
of the
Paul
stage.
Heyman.
Right.
Yeah,
and then Roman's music hits. Here comes Roman, and I think he stops halfway down the ramp. And I think you do a Rey Mysterio SmackDown 2002 debut spot. Because you have a cage match. And I think you have Roman have all four of their attention staring at them from the ramp, and behind them, Jimmy Uso's on top of the damn cage. And they turn around, and Uso just flies at them, takes them out.
Okay.
Roman gets in the cage, and I think that's how you end SmackDown.
Do you
Roman
have
can't
Roman,
come alone.
Okay, do you have Cody join in this fight, or is he gone?
I think Cody stays laid out. I think
Okay.
he was getting attacked. He could. I wouldn't.
Or would you rather have your scenario play out, then after it starts to die down, Cody comes to, and we have like kind of like quick stare down.
I think you
awkward
have
exchange.
that.
Don't let it linger.
Because you got to remember, a Cody Roman mutual respect thing is going to fuel a Rock Roman match and a Rock Cody match.
Right, which I'd be very careful of not having them stand face to face.
Right.
I would have it be a thing where Cody, like you said, Cody's coming out of it.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of laying there on the ground looking up at Roman like, what are you doing? You know,
Almost like SummerSlam, right?
And then end the show there.
Exactly.
That's it.
Right?
That's
With
it.
Jimmy Uso, they
Well,
don't attack him.
Roman gives them a look, they kind of look at Cody, and then they just turn around and walk away.
That's it. They
Yeah.
don't attack him. They don't help him. Right? But it's almost like a casual mutual respect.
They should totally hire us to book
They
these
should.
shows.
We're
What are we
killing
doing
it,
here?
man.
Let's
We're
go.
killing it, man.
Right now.
Other thing on SmackDown season premiere, they are hinting at a surprise. Kevin Owens and a mystery partner.
Bill Goldberg.
Okay. Yo, shout out to Gunther.
We'll get there.
I know. You said it.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right. So
They're
Kevin
planting the
Owens
seeds.
and a mystery partner facing Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Mystery partner. It's the season premiere of SmackDown. The way Nick Aldis kind of reacted was kind of like, I think I got someone in mind. And they're, of course, being their arrogant heels. How crazy do you go with this surprise?
I don't know. We talking Joe Hendry crazy?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
Just, you know,
The Duke is getting more and more popular. You can't ignore it.
He's almost part of this company now.
Yes.
I mean, just have him show up.
It's to the point that you can't
That
justify.
crowd would go nuts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can't justify keeping him, no offense to these promotions, but you have to understand, at NXT and TNA, and that's it.
No.
Because how big he is, his face is at every show in the crowd, right? People nationally, sports teams are doing his song, right? This dude is nationally recognized.
And I feel like just that sly kind of like look that, you know, it's all just had that like, I got an idea.
Yes. So that is the route I would go. Whatever route they do go, I think it's some form of surprise.
Yeah.
Please don't be Randy Orton. And I say this with so much respect for Randy Orton.
But we've been down that road.
We've been down that road.
And it wouldn't be it'd be like, oh,
It's not a surprise.
you'd get the pop because
Yes.
Orton's music would hit, and obviously the fans love him. But it's just like, oh, that's the surprise?
See, and I'm nervous they're going to go that route because they're going to play it off as a surprise because Orton's been on Raw.
Right.
And we haven't seen Orton since he lost that Bash in
Right.
Berlin. So I'm worried that, damn, you guys are actually going to do that.
You want to surprise me?
You want to?
I want to hear, hi, guys.
Oh, shut up, man! You Jericho
Okay, but
fanboy.
hold on. Now, would you not be legitimately surprised?
Being surprised isn't always a good thing.
Surprised and disgusted all at once?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you give me both, it's not always a good thing. Come on. So I just the only way. And now we're going crazy here. If they bring
Yeah, we're
Orton
overbooking
in
this.
as a surprise, you have to have Orton turn heel on Cody at the end of the show
That's it.
to justify it.
Because it's so like, oh, you came back to get back in a tag team situation
with Kevin Owens
with Kevin
again as a surprise
Are
partner.
you guys going to do
for
this
the
next
tag
week
team.
again too? Or
Yep.
what's happening?
That's the only way.
Yeah.
Only way it makes sense. Let's get through a few more WWE headlines before we get out of here. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. It is confirmed. Hell in a Cell
Yes.
at Bad Blood. Shout out Adam Pearce. Kind of channeled his William Regal War Games
Yeah.
with Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Not bad.
No, not bad. He's done it before. And
Yeah.
he's
He's got it.
it's not like the real thing.
Right.
But it's not bad.
It's enough. It's enough.
not bad.
Guys, hate to hear that. But with Drew McIntyre
Would you rather
and
have
CM
Joe
Punk.
Tessitore do it or
Yeah.
honestly?
We'll talk about Tess too. But here, so Punk, Drew,
Leave him
Hell in a
alone.
Cell. Drew snapping that bracelet, by the way.
Son of a bitch.
Yes. So,
Which they are now selling on WWE
yeah,
Shop for
damn.
$10.
The person that made it's like, well, fuck.
Where's my royalties
You
at?
know?
Goddamn, I made this thing like legit. Can I get some kickback?
So him snapping that bracelet, did that like save the build for the match? I know we were kind of worried about, okay, how long we're going to keep rehashing this.
You know, and I know I was very like strongly against just dragging it out, but in a weird way, it kind of like renewed it and kickstarted something else.
Yes.
And it's like, dude, it's the freaking bracelet, but it's not a sentiment because yeah, he got it back, but then now he broke it.
Yes.
It's like you asshole. Now I got to avenge this. Like,
Right.
you can't just let that ride.
I gotta go to WWEshop.com and buy a new one.
I got to spend $10 plus shipping and handling. Nah, fuck that. We're getting in the
shipping
cell.
and
We're getting in the
handling?
cell,
Come on.
dude. Look what you did.
So, yeah, it does, though, because the issue wasn't the story, right? I totally understand the story and the sentiment and so on.
Right.
It's the fact that we were redoing the same segment for 3 straight weeks, where we said it before. Punk attacks Drew, attempts to grab the bracelet, gets taken down, bracelet taken back.
Yeah.
Haha, I got your bracelet. Runs away. Drew comes out, talks shit, and we do it again.
That is an amazing summarization of this. It's so spot on.
It
too.
is, and then Drew talks shit again, and we do
I
it
got
again.
your bracelet. Runs away.
It's like,
The captions.
If
Runs
you
away with
mute
bracelet.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit! You got his bracelet again.
It's like, I understand the story and the meaning, but we're redoing the same segment.
Yeah.
So now that we snap the bracelet, you have to do something else.
Got to get in the cell, man.
Like,
There's no other way here.
So yes, the snapping the bracelet was a very smart move for this angle. I love it for Bad Blood. Potentially for Bad Blood, Sami Zayn wants a world title shot against Gunther. How do you feel about another potential, it's not official, Gunther Sami Zayn title
Is Bret Hart
match?
going to be there?
Poor Bret. Poor Bret.
Just saying. Because
And
if he's
in his
not,
corner,
is he going to be there for moral
if
support?
they went back to Calgary, they'd probably go that route.
Nah, he can go.
How do you feel about Sami Zayn in this title picture?
I feel that Gunther's going to have another successful title defense.
Sure.
And
I love it. I love it for that reason.
Yeah.
Because, again, I want Sami Zayn back in the bloodline because Sami Zayn, I say this with so much love because I have a lot of love for Sami Zayn, has bored me.
Talk
since
your
he
shit,
left.
Justin.
Yes. Since he left the bloodline, he has been boring.
I can't disagree.
And major shout out to Sami Zayn for the Johnny Gaudreau jersey on Monday Night Raw. Love that.
Yeah.
But Sami Zayn, his character work has bored me, and I didn't want him to, for that reason, I didn't want him taking the title off Gunther at WrestleMania. I don't think his the person deserves it. The character and what he's done since the bloodline didn't. And this is a way for Gunther to avenge that.
Yeah, because like, how bad did we want him to lose that title when he won it? It was
Exactly.
like, and so when Braun finally got it, oh, thank God.
We said before,
Yeah.
his title run did more for Chad Gable than it did for himself.
Yeah, who never, unfortunately, actually got the title, but here we are.
Which is crazy, right? Like, he never got the title, but his character got
Like
a whole faction out of it.
if you had just stopped watching after that feud,
Yeah.
and you turn Raw back on, how the hell did this guy get the belt? What happened?
What's
Did he
going on?
beat Chad Gable?
Right. And shout out to Chad Gable for the angle slam, by the way, in that match with the Wyatt Six.
Yeah.
Love
Good
it.
match, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring out Team
I
Angle.
have to little by little. I'm dialing back my Ravens flock commentary.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
They're great
they've
match.
kept this going pretty good. I gotta say,
They could,
Yeah.
I think that faction is going to survive for a minute because of how good they are in the ring.
it has a lot more staying power than I thought it would at this point. But we're getting off the rails.
Jey Uso's getting an IC title shot against Bron Breakker. How do you feel about that?
I'm for it. He's not going to win it, but let's go.
That's the problem I have. I love the
Again,
match.
but does this play into your thing of let's get these out the way and get these
Yes.
guys back into the bloodline?
Yeah, it does. And I think, we talked about Sami Zayn, Jey Uso. I think both of them losing their title matches is going to keep them close together because it's going to be like, I lost, you lost.
Yeah, we both suck.
Yeah, we all suck.
Let's go find Roman. He'll know what to do. Did you lose? Yeah, I lost. Yeah, I lost too. You got Roman's number?
Are you busy?
He got a new phone. Oh, shit.
Paul? No. So, but it does play that route 100%.
Yeah.
But I think what I don't like about it, because I love Jay, I love how over he is, I don't think this company believes he can be a singles champion.
Are they going to like lump him in with the Terror Twins?
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of what they've done so
I
far.
mean, that's your new. They've been teasing that him and
Right.
Rhea thing forever,
Which
so,
is
like,
fun. I think
that's fun,
you
dude.
know,
You
I
can go
think
that
of
route.
Jey
Nice,
Uso, and
whatever.
apologies if you didn't watch Friends. For people who watch Friends, Jey Uso is Joey Tribbiani. Okay,
I have no idea.
God,
I just
man.
know. Look,
man.
I only knew it because I had a huge crush on Jennifer Aniston.
Okay, fine. But
That's it.
Well, I say Jey Uso to Joey Tribbiani because Joey Tribbiani.
What's a Joey Tribbiani?
It is.
People are screaming at their screens right now.
especially for
You
Friends.
dumb
bro.
bastard! You
But
don't.
Joey was this horny, big crush on Rachel kind of guy. Never shied away from showing it, but it was in a very lovable way. And that's exactly what Jey Uso does. Jey Uso makes these comments about Rhea.
Yeah.
It's doesn't hide it, but it's not creepy. It's lovable. You love him for it. And Rhea just kind of is. And I want Rhea to just continue to drag him along.
Yeah.
Never give it to him, and that's what Rachel did to Joey.
Jay's adorable.
I love Jay,
Come on.
but I don't believe that the company believes in him to hold a singles title because every title match they put him in is a match where it's like he's not going to win.
Which kind of baffles me because he's super over.
He is.
And I'm just like, so is the plan of all this just to reunite him with his brother and
That's
put him
what
in
it
the
feels
tag team
like.
again?
Because he has no business taking that title off Braun.
Put him in the tag team wasteland?
Exactly. And that's the thing. He has no business taking the title off Braun. He had no business taking the title off Priest when he got that title match. So it's like he had no business taking the title off Roman. Every title match they put him in, it's a lose-lose. Because like, dude, if you win, we're gonna kind of be mad at the fact that you ended that title run.
Yeah.
But then you're gonna lose again. So I just don't think they believe in him as a singles champion.
This better take him back to the bloodline thing with Roman, because if I see this man getting anywhere near Karrion Kross,
yeah.
I am going to be concerned.
And we're not going to touch too much on it, but the whole Odyssey Jones situation, that kind of cut that out. So I mean, he could replace Odyssey.
I mean, Karrion needs someone to lose to. Anyway,
get some wins.
Yeah, well, there you go.
How do you mentioned him earlier? How do you feel Joe Tessitore is doing so far?
Bless his heart. He, he's not. I'll say this. I will say this. Okay. I like the fact that I can be okay with hearing his voice.
Yes.
And then kind of like compartmentalize him away because he's not Michael Cole, who I'm waiting to make a comment about something.
Sure.
But sometimes I'm like, just need Wade. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say you could tell there's a learning curve there, which is expected.
Which you give him that grace period. Right. It's like, dude, you weren't doing Raw full time. This is new.
He doesn't feel out of place.
No, you could tell he actually cared enough to like know stuff.
Yes.
He's not.
And he pushes the story well.
We've had some questionable commentary, from other people.
I question this going in. Bringing someone who is just a wrestling fan to do play-by-play. We're not comparing him to Pat McAfee because Pat just needs to react to shit. Where
God, Pat has such a great gig.
He does, dude.
That's like any of us as fans to be like, hey, you want to do Monday Night Raw with my? Yeah,
I'll be there.
Let's just react to shit.
Show starts at 8. I'll be there at 7:30 as long as you're there in time.
So
to
what
put
do
the
I got to do?
on.
Just be amazed by things you see.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do that. Fat check.
Nailed it. Right. Tessitore does not feel out of place. I think he's doing very well. The best first show I've heard in terms of debuts for someone that's never done it before. No wrestling history, no wrestling background outside of being a wrestling fan. He doesn't feel out of place, and for now, that's all I can ask.
Oh, again, we've lived through the Mike Adamle era.
Yep.
Which you want to talk about someone feeling out of place?
Yep. Jeff Harvey.
Yo. And the Taz.
Nailed it.
You're doing great, pal. Keep it going.
Keep going, dude. Keep going. Last thing, huge shout out to Gunther, because if you have the balls to bring up Goldberg to Bret Hart.
I couldn't have been the only one that thought he was going to say Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, that would have been the easy route.
It's the low-hanging fruit.
That would have been the Vince McMahon route.
Yeah.
Right?
Goddamn, pal.
Yep.
Like, but I'm his pause. I'm like, oh, he's going to say Shawn Michaels or HBK, right? The Goldberg thing and the crowd collectively like, you motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, love it.
Yeah,
love
that was great. That was great. Even the smirk that Bret Hart gave, like, son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
Bret Hart's
I love that feud is like a one-sided feud where like Bret Hart's just eternally, I hate this man. And Goldberg's like,
are you good?
You're still mad about that?
Bro,
I'm sorry, dude. I apologize
ago.
like a million times.
Yeah.
Like,
no, when it comes to like a grudge, I don't think anyone in the history of history holds a grudge like Bret Hart.
Oh, Bret Hart will find reasons to hate you, even if he never knew you.
Yep.
And the other ridiculous thing about, and I love Bret Hart. I know you say you're kind of with him.
He's
love
great,
Bret Hart.
obviously, but in terms of
I would have loved to have seen in some alternate reality a 1996 Bret Hart versus like a 2002 Kurt Angle.
Oh yeah,
would have been freaking amazing.
They just missed each other.
But the ridiculous thing is this: having to actually legitimately, and I know Gunther was just trolling, but having to picture Gunther's favorite wrestler being Bill Goldberg, it's like, shut up. Yeah, bro, no, it wasn't.
You guys are completely in every way you could be different as a person and wrestler. You're different.
I think that Gunther's probably more in real life, like Bryan Danielson, in the sense of like his favorite wrestler is someone you've never heard of.
Right.
It's some obscure person.
Oh, for sure.
Like, oh, he's a German wrestler from 1975. Yep. Like, yeah, and we had, Brian on the show telling us that pretty much, like, and we're like, who? Yeah. He's like, exactly. You don't know who it is.
It's totally fine. Here, give me his name. I'll look him up.
Yeah.
Totally fine. And I will say, the fact that Gunther's kind of going right back to being that shit heel, if there ever was one.
I love it.
That handshake with him and Orton, I feel like has more meaning than we realize. and that could lead. Orton hasn't been seen.
He hasn't.
And the fact, I still think there is something to it that wasn't just give him his props because he's in his hometown. Gunther went right back to being a shit heel. I think there's more to that handshake. I'm not saying they're working together in terms of what that means for Randy Orton.
So you think that plays into the Cody thing?
Yes.
Okay, we shall
Or
see.
a heel turn in general, but yes, big picture.
He'll turn on
Cody
KO if he indeed is the surprise. Yeah.
There you go. He could turn on KO. But does that turn need to happen on Cody?
Or is Joe Hendry the surprise? Joe Hendry takes the RKO.
But does that turn need to be on Cody?
I mean, we're kind of running out of time.
Because at that point, Cody's going to be like, what the fuck happened?
Unless we're doing this at WrestleMania.
I was in a cage match staring at Roman Reigns. What the hell? I thought you guys were friends.
Yeah, what's going on? What?
Exactly.
He has to do the shocked and appalled,
that
Bryan
turn
Danielson
I feel like
thing.
needs to involve Cody. I love that thought.
Yeah.
I just feel like Cody needs to be there. Making an 8-man tag.
So tell Joe Hendry he doesn't need to show up. He's all right, man.
Roar Around the Ring is available every week. Find us on YouTube at Roar Around the Ring. He's that dude, Darrell Daryl Teeler. I'm Justin Valentine. Talk to you guys very soon.